The internet is absolutely littered with abandoned DIY website projects. So today we're going to talk about 7 of the main reasons that DIY website projects fail and what you can do to avoid falling into that trap. Welcome back, everybody. This is Rob from robwar.net. I'm a web designer and developer, and I help people to do business better online. And what I see so many times when people are taking the do-it-yourself route when it comes to their website and the project fails, there are 7 main reasons that we usually see when those projects fail. And the first reason that we're going to talk about today for why those projects fail is that people get in the weeds and they end up focusing on the wrong thing. And what I mean by that is they're focusing on everything but what they should be focusing on. And this usually will show itself because folks get totally in the weeds trying to figure out their theme, their look, the feel, the fonts, the colors, the images, those kinds of things. And they get totally distracted with that part of getting your website done instead of focusing on what you should be doing. When I'm helping people start with a brand new website, the biggest thing that I recommend for them is to find a theme that they like, that they're comfortable with, that they can spend some time growing into and growing with their website. You don't need a custom web design right out of the box, and you certainly don't need to spend days and weeks and months getting totally caught up in trying to figure out what your website looks like. Find a theme that works. Focus on creating your art, ship that art, do your thing. Don't get bogged down in the nitty-gritty little details of trying to figure out all of the intricacies of a theme. Number 2 on our list of roadblocks to our success with our DIY website project is that you don't have a content plan. And what I mean by that is that you don't have a plan for what you're going to be doing on your website over the next weeks and months. You know, any website project is always a work in progress, but you have to have a content plan, which means that you need to be working on how you're going to be generating content. And you can't just sit down at your computer and decide that you're going to create something all the time. It just doesn't work that way. And so what you have to do if you're going to go down the DIY route with your website is you got to have a good plan for creating your content for your website. Number 3 on our list that is a roadblock to success for our DIY website project is you don't have a plan for sharing your content or marketing your website. And what that means is that you think that just by posting it to your personal Facebook page, maybe sharing it on Twitter or something like that is going to be enough to start generating traffic. Or maybe you just don't have any idea about what you need to do to promote your website. And that is a recipe for disaster. If you don't have a plan for how you're going to generate traffic, if you don't have a plan for how you're going to share your website, if you don't have a plan for how you're going to use your website to build your business, you're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place and very easily end up as one of those abandoned website projects that are out there instead of what you intended for your website to be, which is something to generate business for you online. Number 4 on our list is you don't know what tools you need to do the business that you want to do online. And that could be, you don't know what content management system that you need to use. You don't know what you need to use for any payment gateways. You don't know what you need to use for email collection or those kinds of things. Or it could be, you don't know what plugins you need to use on your website if you're using WordPress, or you don't know what you need to do to collect email addresses. I get requests a lot of time for some crazy kinds of configuration for people that are just trying to get started with their website. And when you're just trying to get started, there's a certain set of basic building blocks that you need to have in place to get your site off the ground. Then you can work on extending features and functionality later. But the main thing that you need to focus in on is knowing what you need to get off the ground, to get your site going, to start creating content and start marketing your website. Don't get lost in the weeds of not knowing what you need as far as the tools are concerned for your website project. Number 5 on our list of things that are derailing our progress is you've forgotten your why. And this is probably one of the biggest reasons, because When you start to get into it and you start building and working with your website for a little while, you're going to realize it's a lot of really hard work. And if you don't have a really good reason why you're doing all these things, it's going to be something that can really discourage you, because you're going to have late nights and early mornings when it comes to working on your website project. And that's just kind of the baseline requirement for anybody who's trying to do business online. So make sure that you have a really good reason why you're doing what you're trying to do on your website online. One of the other big problems that I see with new websites, especially DIY websites, is you focus on monetizing the website way too soon. When you're just starting, the biggest thing that you need to be worried about doing is building your audience. But focusing on monetizing too early is going to discourage you. And if you're discouraged, you're not going to want to continue to work on it, because monetizing your website is a lot of really hard work. There are a lot of things that you need to do to get things in order to be able to monetize your website properly. And part of the doing that the right way is to build your audience. That means that you've started building your list, and that you've got people that are listening to your message, and that you've got people that are interested in hearing what you have to say and what value you bring to the table for them to help them solve their problems. Because the number one question that everybody asks when they get to your website is, how can you help me and who are you, right? They want to know who you are. They want to know how you can help. Monetization comes much further down the process in most instances. So you have to work on building that know, like, and trust factor. Those things are so crucial when it comes to doing business online. So don't put the cart in front of the horse. Make sure that you're focused on building your audience first. Finally, last thing on our list that derails success for DIY website projects is perfectionism. That everything has to be absolutely perfect in order for you to roll it out there. And that is just not the case. And it can be such a huge roadblock for people to overcome. You have to understand that done is good enough. Right? That having it out there, being done, having things completed, that all the lists on your checklist, or all the items on your list of your checklist for trying to get your website done, all those things are checked, right? Doesn't mean that everything has to be perfect. It's a learning process. There's a consistent learning process that goes for every new website project. So continue to make progress. Work on putting one foot in front of another and taking the next step as you go down the road in working on success for your website. If you want to know more about this, I've created a checklist, and you can find that down below. This is a checklist that is designed specifically to help you to get through all of the steps that you need to complete and launch your own self-hosted WordPress site. So I encourage you, please check that out. Take that link, download the guide to help you launch your website. I hope that helps. If this helped you out, please hit like, please subscribe. I'm working on creating videos about what I'm doing in my own business, how I'm helping people with their website, and documenting everything along the way. So come back, we'll be back with more content like this and documentation on what I'm doing as far as online marketing goes and what's working as we continue to try to figure this online business thing out. We can do it all together. So until next time, like I said, my name is Rob from robor.net. We'll catch you next time around.